Well, YouTube Nation, uh, my adoration for H2466 Trainmasters seemed to have um, compelled me to acquiring this one off of eBay, since my current work schedule won't enable me to get to a train show or swap meet. Um, I got this for a very reasonable. I I think the seller um, made me an offer, and I accepted the offer, and it was now what really drew me to to this particular Trainmaster. I know it's missing the headlight lens on each end, and it is missing the windows. It's missing the cab windows. That could be easily sorted out. Um, but the horn is broken, damaged. I can replace that. No couplers. I've got replacement. I could easily sort that out. The stanchions are all here, but here's what drew me to it. Hold on a second. Voila. This was this is what drew me to it. Let's get into it. Now, I'm gonna move this guy, move these over here. Yeah, can you see it okay, guys? Alright. So, this is the front of the locomotive because the light bracket is over here. This is what drew me to it. The previous owner removed the must have been a gray flywheel motor, because these are the old wheel sets with the that don't have the nut on each end of the axle, and he put in, or he or she or they put in a Sagami 12-volt motor. Now, Sagamis are excellent motors, but this person went a little bit further. He tried to DCC this locomotive, because here's all the wires, and this is the plug to put a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, a 9-pin decoder. And it's all wired. It's all cockamamie. And it didn't run. Because I put it in the test track, it didn't run. Something is wrong with it. The previous owner ran into a problem, and didn't resolve it. One problem was it didn't run. Number 2, the drive shafts over here and over here, there wasn't enough length between the flywheel and the gear tower for this shaft to sit snugly in, because this kept falling out. This is ready to fall out. This had, and it's the same case over here, unless if it already has fallen out. If you try, now I tried to like fix the length or adjust the length here, well, rather adjust the distance between here and here. So I tried to make the gap, or rather the distance between the gear tower and the flywheels, but they fell off. They just came off. So I'm gonna look into my parts bin to see how I can get this thing sorted out. But I do have to get rid of this. Now, before I do that, I am going to show to you, and I gotta find the leads. Yeah, there are the leads. Now, I'm going, hold on one second. Now, I'm going to take my spare power pack. At risk of letting these drive shafts fly off into oblivion, I'm going to show you that this motor does in fact work. Give me a second. I guess you didn't see that. Oh, hold on. Alright, the leads don't want to play. There we go. There we go. So yeah, I mean, my finger's in the way, but if you could look very closely, this motor does work. So I have to get rid of all this junk. Because, I mean, if I try to put it on the track, it will not run. It just won't. So something is definitely up with the wiring, and I gotta clean all that up. So we'll be right back. Alright, so this is what I've done. Turns out I didn't need to involve the soldering iron just yet. So, as you can see, I got rid of this. And whoever did this build didn't even bother to wire the thing for lights. So I'm just kicking that to the curb right now. This wire for the negative lead is very short. I'm gonna have to be creative and solder another wire to it. Solder another wire to it so I can get a longer connection, because I am going to make a PCB, a circuit board, to put right over here, right on top of this thing, and then wire each gear tower over here. I'm going to clean the gear towers, but I'm going to try and keep these soldered connections. Hope this can work. Holy cow. What did this guy do? Alright, I'm going to have to get into these gear towers and find out what he did. Yeah, this is, I'm going to have to do a complete teardown, but I'm just going to check the motor again. So here we have a fighting chance. This girl wants to run, but I'm gonna have to do something about the orientation here and here between the motor, between the flywheel and the gear towers. But I'm gonna clean it. I'm gonna tear this girl apart, tear everything down. Of course, leave this here, but I am going to make a PCB mount. Nice Sagami motor. Alright, be back. Alright, so this is our progress so far. I've already disassembled the gear towers. I've also I tore everything down to the frame, save for the motor, because the motor is already mounted to the frame. But I had a spare circuit board mount from a kind of a failed 3D print. But what I got ahead and done was solder the motor connections to my makeshift printed circuit board. I have solder points. There are 5 on each side. 2 for the gear towers for the connection, the positive and the negative. 2 and 2 each for the front and rear lights, because this thing had no lights. And this piece of junk thing, dude didn't wire it for lights. So now I have to put some LEDs in this thing. And then the other 2 for the positive and negative connections for the Mishima. And I've already tested the connections, and we're solid gold. I've also put some lubricant, some Labelle wannabe in the shafts. There is no need to clean the brushes, because this is everything's internal. So I already have that set aside. Now, as for the gear towers themselves, relatively speaking, they are clean. A little wipe down wouldn't hurt. But there is some oxidation, which I'll have to take the Dremel to remove. Now, so I don't confuse everyone, this is that's the rear gear tower. So this is the front gear tower. Now, this fellow, the previous owner, could have made his positive connection over here on the elbow of the gear tower. Instead, this is how we wired it. Very intricate, very precise. I don't know why he used a different gauge of wire for the negative, and he did the same thing for the negative. Maybe if I move my finger, you'll see it better. But this is what he did. Soldered it right to the bottom, and then he ran a wire from the middle brass fitting for the axle, and then ran it up. But I am going to have to Dremel Dremel the oxidation off, give each gear tower a little bit of a wipe down. The gears themselves are clean, but dry. Both gear towers were dry. So I'm going to take care of that before I rebuild everything. I also have to take care of the wheels, the wheel set, because they are kind of mangy, if you could see for yourself. I'm going to employ that same little trick that I used where, come on, get loose, where I'm going to put the axles without their gears into the gear towers. Not going to reassemble the gear tower fully, because I need to take care of a few things in here. But I want to show you, are we in? Yeah, we're in. Quick and dirty way of cleaning these axles. And I'm only using this for, come on, plug. Right now I'm doing this just for the older gear towers. So I've got my Dremel. And they're cleaner. So I'm going to do the same thing for the other axles. Get them nice and polished. And we'll be right back. Alright. We're proceeding with the rebuild. I'm not putting the gear worms in just yet. I have the gear towers already in. They're not secured, of course, because they are because I still have yet to mount these guys. Of course, clean them up a little bit, spiff them up a little bit, lubricate them, of course. But the subject of the matter of the dumbbell issue, and I don't trust my stupidity with tweezers, so I'm gonna hold it like this. They didn't stay secured between the motor and the gear tower because I guess there was a matter of a length, but as I was removing this shaft is not really, it's of a variable length. So I'm wondering if that has anything to do with it. That could be a contributing factor. But in an effort to somewhat lessen the distance or the gap between the gear tower and the motor on each side, on each end, I'm going to use this. This came out of my bag of spare parts that I use specifically for Athearn locomotives. It's the A-line PPW Arrow, whatever they want to call themselves, 12030. I also bought 12031, which also offers similar parts. I was pondering getting the hex shafts, which is a completely different A-line part, and I don't have that. But I'm going to put these into each gear worm so that the distance will be reduced. So so I don't make a fool of myself in front of you guys. I'm going to do this off camera. Be right back. Alright, folks. Change of plan. Completely different change of plan. So, my idea was garbage. For whatever I told you, you know, you were hallucinating it. What wound up happening was there was too much of a it just didn't work because the worm gears wouldn't wouldn't sit in the gear tower. So that was problem number one. Problem number two, it's this dumbbell gear. It is knackered. So even if I were to get this thing to work, it would just spin. This shaft would just spin. Yeah, you know, this is just garbage. I can't use this. So, what I had done instead was, the shaft, one of the shafts was good enough to use and it was long enough. That other shaft that I just threw to the side, that was shorter and knackered. Unfortunately, because I have no other shafts of this equal length or girth, I used a hose. I had some, I could have used some food grade silicone hose, which I do have plenty of, but I had this guy, and I cut it just to length, fit it right over each shaft of the gear worm and the motor itself. I also had to play with this elbow. So, I'm going to change cameras. Alright, so here it is on the test track, and I have to apologize. My track's been somewhat misbehaving. I'm going to have to tinker with it somehow. So, here we go, forward. And here we go with reverse. And by keeping at that speed, that way I know that the hose is secure. So, I'm going to take this to the test track and just let it run. Be right back. So, it is running, but my spidey senses are telling me there may be an issue with how this with how the trucks were wired. Even though current draw is fine, it is on 75 to 80% throttle, which will explain the voltage over 12%. I suspect that there may be an issue with the wiring. I'm not sure if I'm going to change it, but it is running. Yes. Yeah, I'm seeing shorts. I may have to change the wiring. Hold on. Alright, so we seem to be running much better now. I had a feeling that the black wire, since it was thicker than the red wire, it was causing derailments. So I removed the black wire from the left of from each gear tower, and I soldered it on top of what is basically the negative pole for the gear tower, since the elbow is the positive. Now, without getting you sick, hold on a second. I do still have the power pack on pretty high. We're between 12 and 14 volts, but the current draw is fabulous. So, I am going to let this thing shake its sillies out, and we'll address the shell next, before we even bother with the lights. So I'm gonna let this thing run, and let's discuss the shell. So here we are with the shell. Let me adjust this. You may not see all of my pretty face, but so the shell has been weighted down. There is quite some heft to it. Not sure if I'm going to remove it, but I might, especially since it may be getting in the, it will get in the way of putting a lens in for the long hood end, and I do have spare number boards, and now this must have been a custom job, because there is these railing stanchions right here. The eBay listing said that it was characteristic of a Santa Fe locomotive, but the thing is that this is undecorated. Where do you see Santa Fe? It is going to be difficult for me to get into to pop this out, unless if I were to sever the connection right over here, so I could just lift up this cab and put windows in. This is going to make for quite the challenge. There is no obstruction for me to put the front lens in and the number boards. The stanchions, I'm going to do my very diligent best to remove them, but something odd about this. It feels, I don't know, has it been weathered? I am. Well, first things first. I gotta get rid of that weight, and then remove the stanchions. Everything else appears to be intact. This one, there's a slight. This one's slightly broken, but it is what it is. The horn is broken. I have spares. I'll remove that. Right. Gone. Yeah. So, I'm gonna move the stanchions, remove that thing, and we'll be right back. Let's see how I'm gonna decorate this. Well, this is what I've done with the shell. This was a rather insane idea that I've been rummaging through my mind for quite some time now, but I never really acted upon it until now. But I mean, my decal skills are getting there. I use Koala brand inkjet decal paper. There are two variations. One is with the clear back, the other one was with the white back. I've had some application issues with the clear. That when I applied the decal to certain locomotives, it just didn't work as planned. So I tend to fall back on the white label, and I picked those up on Amazon.com. Inkjet printer decal sheets. Once you print out the decals that you want, and I use Microsoft Publisher, and sooner or later I am going to have to migrate to a different program, because my understanding is that Microsoft is going to discontinue Microsoft Publisher. So I'm going to have to migrate these whatever I've done to another piece of software. But what you basically do with Koala brand inkjet printer is that once the ink dries, I apply a coat of. Hold on one second. I apply a coat of matte clear ultra cover. Matte clear ultra cover, and I spray that. Wait 30 minutes, and then apply another coat. Wait another 30 minutes, then apply the third coat. Wait 30 minutes, and then once that third 30-minute wait time is done, don't use it right away. And I've made that mistake in the past. You have to wait for it to, even though it says 30 minutes, and you really have to let it sit for a while after that third 30-minute interval has passed. I did get a little impatient. I should have shot this before reapplying, or rather reinserting the handrails and stanchions. As for the paint that I used, hold on one second. I used Craft Smart satin black. I used folk art silver sterling. And you got to be really careful with that because it's a even though it's acrylic, it's somewhat, it comes out pretty thick, and you really have to thin it down some. I also used Craft Smart Burgundy, and for the stairs on both sides, I dry brushed Apple Barrel Yellow Flame. So it came out pretty good, I would say. What else was I gonna say? The stanchions, one or two stanchions were missing. So fortunately, I had spares. Now, this wasn't me. This was how I acquired this thing. And there is a bit of a peculiarity with that. I'm gonna have to. I might take another look at it, or I just might leave it. So, and since it didn't have the headlight lenses, I had spares, and I also had a spare horn. So that's there. So I'm just going to marry this back to the chassis frame, which I put on number 5s because that was because couplers were missing as well. And we'll get her on the track. So I'll see you at the layout. Okay, so here's our baby with her shell on. Took a little doing to get all the wires and whatnot to behave themselves, but where were we? So yeah, I got her on the track, and we are going to go. Whoopee, hold on. Forward. I'll let you get a better vantage of that. Hold on a second. If I can get this camera to work. Yeah, there we are. So now, forward. And now, let's go backwards. Excellent. Purring like a kitten. So, let's get this girl some action. Hold on one second. Right, so we're at 50% throttle. The current draw is fabulous. And can you see the voltage output? It's about 12. I mean, this is a 12 volt motor that the previous owner had put in. And she has completed her third lap already. And she is just remarkable. Well, she's pulling pretty good. Given the number of cars that she's got lashed up to her. And, hold on one quickie ticky. We're at 65% throttle. Current draw is barely registering. Holy cow. Voltage is right around the 12 mark. I dare not increase the throttle, because I really don't want to burn out this Mishima motor. But yeah, we got us a pretty good performer. Well, I for one am a very happy camper. This was a wonderful restoration job. The machine is performing great. She's pulling good. So this is an A+ restoration. So, with that being said, I wish to thank my subscribers for their continued support. If you are not already a subscriber, there is a link for you to click in the bottom right-hand corner. Please like the video. Please share the video. Please help me reach the 300 subscriber milestone. And thank you so much for stopping by. I'll see you soon.